Ukraine, new world order.
Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs.
All right. Well, there's a lot of Joe Biden stuff that happened over the weekend. Not great, but we'll start with Reuters.
I was entertained.
Well, entertained, yes, but for the implications of the state of world affairs, I don't know if it's great.
The survival of
humanity, yeah. Reuters here. Biden says Putin cannot remain in power in fiery speech on Ukraine war. And I got a clip from that. It's a 30-second clip. Here we go.
Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia, for free people refused to live in a world of hopelessness and darkness. We will have a different future, a brighter future, rooted in democracy and principle, hope and light, of decency and dignity, of freedom and possibilities. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power. God bless you all, and may God defend our freedom, and may God protect our troops.
All right. Okay. Did he just call for a regime change in Russia? Is that what he's doing?
So many things in there. First of all, can we start with how weird his voice sounds in that? He's like putting on this Big Daddy voice and screaming.
Maybe it's the venue. The venue kind of had him, the voice. Sometimes your voice echoes in a room and you want to, you kind of pump into it or something. But let's hear it again.
He was tired of being called sleepy, I think.
Maybe. Well, he still sounds sleepy. I don't think that changed.
Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia, for free people refused to live in a world of hopelessness and darkness. We will have a different future, a brighter future, rooted in democracy and principle, hope and light, of decency and dignity, of freedom and possibilities. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
All right.
What a weird thing to say. For God's sake.
Yeah.
Putin can't stay in power.
Yeah. So
that's weird. It's an interesting sort of hierarchy of needs he's created. For God.
Yeah, the comments sharply escalated conflict between Moscow and the West over its invasion in Ukraine. This is Reuters. But a White House official said the remarks did not represent a shift in Washington's policy, that it is not seeking regime change in Russia. Still, they came on a day of escalating rhetoric, as Biden also branded Putin a butcher during a meeting with refugees who have fled the war in Ukraine to the Polish capital. Quote, the president's point was that Putin cannot be allowed to exercise power over his neighbors or the region. The White House official said, quote, he was not discussing Putin's power in Russia or a regime change.
I love that. Putin can't exercise his power over his neighbors. That's our job. That's what we're supposed to do.
But we're not talking about regime change. Interesting. On Saturday, Biden said the West was united against Russian invasion, but also added that NATO was a defensive security alliance which never sought Russia's demise. Biden's speech was delivered at Warsaw Royal Castle before hundreds of Polish elected officials, students, and U.S. embassy staff, many holding U.S., Polish, and Ukrainian flags. Quote, the West is now stronger, more united than it has ever been, Biden said, calling the fight against Vladimir Putin a new battle for freedom. Biden said Putin's desire for absolute power was a strategic failure for Russia and a direct challenge to a European peace that has largely prevailed since World War II. And there you go. So I just keep going on and on.
I do love the sort of Bushian throwback to it's about freedom. Russia is threatening our freedom as Americans. Really? I feel like you're threatening our freedom as Americans way more than Putin is.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah.
And so it gets people on board, man. It works. I know.
Yeah, so there's a lot of damage control in the media here. This is a Washington Post headline, how Biden sparked a global uproar with 9 ad-libbed words about Putin. And the subheading here, by declaring that the Russian leader cannot remain in power, the U.S. president seemed to suggest a drastic change in U.S. policy, prompting a scramble by White House officials.
I love it. I love it.
So there you go.
Jackie's really earning her COVID time.
But that wasn't
it does
the only
make me
gaffe.
wonder, you know, Psaki stayed home because of a COVID infection, allegedly.
Right.
And I wonder if he would have done that if she were there. Like, you got to imagine, or maybe she stayed back specifically for him. So he would.
Yeah.